I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone is safe and warm. If you are in Southern Virginia down to North Carolina, there is a winter storm that's supposed to be coming. It looks like Northern Virginia is not going to see maybe any, or like we might just get we might get a dusting, a few inches, but it's not gonna be anything like what North Carolina and Southern Virginia are going to get. So please be safe out there. Welcome to everyone. I'm gonna do like Lawyer Lee and shout out the first 5 in chat. So welcome Alicia, welcome Jenny's Wonderland, me Nona. No, sorry, I'm saying that wrong. And then also Mary Jubinville. Sure. And I so appreciate you all and your support. If you are new from Courtroom Confidential, welcome. I will be having Josh Ritter on my show tomorrow at 3 p.m. So if you missed that show, Josh and I talked about the Brendan Banfield case. We also discussed the Tepe, the Ohio, the ex-husband that drove from Illinois to Ohio, the Tepe murder case. We also discussed Lindsay Clancy, the medical malpractice lawsuit that's been filed. I may cover that one. I might do that sometime next week. We'll see. But tomorrow, Josh and I are going to discuss the Tepe case, because there was an affidavit that was released that provided new details that we weren't aware of. And we just want to talk about how to protect people that are in difficult situations, and how can we try to prevent things like this from happening. It is difficult, and so I'll talk about it from a psychological side and he'll talk about it from the legal side. And so super excited for that. And let's dive right into talking about Brendan Banfield. So this is my, I think, 4th or 5th video covering this trial. It feels like we live here now. Emily D. Baker often talks about, okay, we're journeying over to Virginia. And we kind of, according to the defense attorney, he wants us to all live here now. Brendan's defense attorney. So Brendan Banfield's a defense attorney. My personal thoughts. I think he is doing what his client wants. Brendan seemed to draw out parts of his testimony to include details that really didn't need to be included, because if he thought his lawyer was taking too much time on something, he could ask his lawyer to, like, hey, can you pick up the pace a little? Can you get a little bit of energy or something? He's not doing that. I think he is pleased with what his lawyer is doing. The jury went home today, so we're all on verdict watch, so we can rest this weekend, and verdict watch will start again on Monday. Please remember, this jury, they have more than 200 exhibits from the state, and I think they have over 200 exhibits from the defense. They are probably reading through Juliana's letters. They might be reading through Brendan's letters. They might be rewatching some of the videos, and they get to talk about this for the first time. So this was day 10 of this trial, and for the first time, they're able to talk about all of this. And this case is a bit complex, because it's based on, do you believe Juliana or do you believe Brendan? And the state, in their closing, did a good job talking about that. I will talk about the state's closing a little bit later. I did a prior video where I talked about Brendan's testimony from day 8, and we are going to watch just a few clips from day 9. Some of the things that stood out to me, and you all have mentioned in the chat, he does not show emotion, or when he does show emotion, it seems inappropriate. So for me, when he was giddy and laughing and smiling and seemed to be proud of himself when discussing his affair with Juliana, that was weird. And I'm not going to play clips of it, when he talks about his wife, who he says he loved, when he talks about allegedly that she was into like BDSM type stuff, but because she was an SA nurse, no. And there were so many people that work with survivors of that type of harm that were like, nobody would ever fetishize like that trauma. Like nobody would do that. Nobody that does that type of work would be look, because the way he was talking about her bringing her work home and looking through the pictures, it was creepy to me. He comes off creepy. He just does. He really, really comes off creepy. And, that was so wrong, and I wonder if it set weird with the jury because he was smiling. So when he was talking about it, he was smiling, and that's where I personally wonder, he knows Christine can't speak for herself. She can't refute anything he's saying. I don't believe Christine had an affair. I don't. They might have went to marriage counseling in 2013 and 2014, but I think it was related to Brendan. I don't think she ever had any affairs. I don't think she did. And I think he used his money. I think he was a sugar daddy. I think he used his money to so in the Northern Virginia area, there are sugar babies, okay? And a sugar baby doesn't necessarily have to be an escort or anything like that, but it's people that are looking for arrangements. And sometimes that arrangement does not include physical intimacy. Like there's some sugar babies that'll be like, "Hey, I'll take pictures with you. We'll cuddle," but like some of them have boundaries set up of what they will and won't do. You can take me shopping, we'll go out to dinner, but there are some sugar babies that it doesn't include anything intimate. And then there are others that are open to a transactional relationship where it's like, yeah, I'm with you because you're paying my bills. I'm with you because you give me an allowance. And so there are people that do that. Um, the way that man minimized allegedly having an affair with his best friend's wife, or and I don't have that clip drawn up either. The way that he was just like, "Were they even together?" Like, he lies to me. He did not come across credible at all. Let me know, and I might have to do a poll for this. Who do you think was more credible if you thought, so okay, so we'll do this. Who do you okay, I will do this. Think was more credible, Juliana or Brendan? Jay's in the chat for Juliana. BB for Brendan. And zeros for neither one. Okay. So let me know in the chat, who do you think came across more credible? Do you think Brendan, Juliana, or neither one? So I did have some issues with some of Juliana's testimony. I thought some of Juliana's testimony was vague when she could have been more specific. I thought she minimized her role in everything, but I don't think she's a genius that could make all of this up. And really, the defense was the one that made her look kind of simple and not like the defense was the one that kind of did that. And some people, and I don't know if the jury will go into this, because some people talked about how some of the FetLife messages have grammar issues in them. I wonder if it could backfire for the defense, them including so many of Juliana's letters, because they're going to get an idea for how Juliana talks, how Juliana writes, and the mistakes she makes. And I wonder if any of the jurors will, because if I was on the jury, that would be something that would stand out to me. If she always uses certain phrasing, and if that similar phrasing is in the FetLife messages. So the state did a great job pointing that out in the closing, and like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit more. I did want to play just a little bit of the testimony. You all have probably watched this so many times. I have one, two, three, four, five. I have 5 clips that I would like to do. And so for this first clip, Brendan is going to be talking about the things he says Joseph Ryan was saying. And his story doesn't make sense. The way he told his story, it doesn't it doesn't line up. It doesn't make sense to me. But we're just going to watch this part.
Was that a concern for you while you were in the moment?
So his attorney just asked him about him never having fired his weapon in a real life situation or at a person. So in this moment, was he concerned about that fact?
There wasn't a lot of space between Joe and Christine.
A lot of people didn't like the way that he called him Joe. So I watched over on Surviving the Survivor. He had Dr. G Explains. Surviving the Survivor had Dr. G Explains on, and they played a few clips. And somebody asked Dr. G, what's one of the reasons why why would he be calling him Joe? And Dr. G mentioned that it might be to humanize him. Instead of saying, the man that attacked, like, I saw this man and but he specifically used his name instead of just saying like the man. And I don't know how the jury is going to take it, but it is something that we noticed. I will also mention he says my bedroom, my house. A lot of things come off very possessive when he's talking, and not our bedroom. I went up to she was in our bed. Like it's a lot of like my. So okay, we'll keep it going.
I was very fearful of hitting Christine.
And so
when he talks about being fearful, he doesn't look fearful. So when he's talking about all these things he's experiencing, he does not look fearful at all to me. Let's keep it going.
what, if anything, when the time came, were you considering using your firearm?
Yes.
At what point did that start?
That's good to know. Premeditation.
I mean, very quickly in the situation, but there's only, his head isn't far from Christine's head. I guess his part of his body is partially behind Christine's body. Part of his body is behind the bed. It's a very tight situation.
Okay. And so you delayed from your first instinct?
Judge, objection is to leading.
What, if anything, did you do then?
I'll sustain the objection.
I mean, I know that I told him to let her go at least one more time. And then I know that
I personally feel, and I don't know this for true, so this is sofa speculation, okay? This is coming from Paul, reporting live from my sofa. That's where I got the sofa speculation. We are speculating. I think that he walked in and Joe probably looked around like, what? He probably looked surprised. He might have said, stop, police. And I think there was a pew pew. Immediately. And then I think he grabbed this because Christine 7 times in the neck. Because according to him, all of this is supposed to be happening. And he wasn't even like smart enough to say like, I heard screaming, because he almost sounds like he heard sexual noises when there was no intimate contact, like nothing, because they tested to see if anything. Joe, Joe Ryan most likely still had his pants on. He said that Christine was naked, and I don't know, maybe I don't know. So I don't know I don't know where the truth is with what he says, but I don't think he said let her go. I don't think he said that. And all the things that he's about to say, I think this is his fantasy. I don't think any of this happened.
I told him that he was going to be under arrest.
What? How?
Okay.
And that's where he's like pretending to be a police officer. So an IRS agent can arrest somebody that's a part of a federal investigation. But like, he should have called 911. And if he was going to hold him at gunpoint until the police got there, okay. But because even he's going to say that Joe Ryan asked to leave. And I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's true. But what? And his defense is defense of another. That's why he had to testify. In order to get the defense of another jury instruction read, he had to testify.
I missed that at some point he asked for me to leave, and at a different point he asked for himself to leave.
Who? What? You met somebody on a FetLife account, and somebody walks in with a pew-pew and claims to be law enforcement, and you're going to ask them to leave. It doesn't make any sense. His story, it doesn't make any sense. He did admit that he knew that Christine had the blood disorder. He never told the EMTs about it. Did the state point that out? I don't know if they did. I did not watch every moment of this trial. Some parts of this drug on a lot. Dr. Berry, do you think some of the jurors actually think he's not? I think the jurors are going through the evidence. And because they have to and remember, there's also the child harm, because they also have to agree there are 3 counts, because there are two counts, and I think there's like using a weapon or something, but there's also the child harm count, and this is their first time talking. And could you imagine being able to finally talk about the foolishness y'all just went through? Because they might have just needed to debrief the defense holding them hostage for like 3 days. 3 days of the defense's case seemed absolutely pointless to me. Poor Detective Miller on the stand. I think the Detective Miller was called to the stand 3 times by the defense and finally released, I think on day 9, yesterday, I think, or maybe it was day before. I don't know. He was just released from his subpoena. And his testimony didn't help the defense at all. Because if you remember the first time he was on the stand, he said, if you have somebody that says who was behind the computers, the opinion is going to change. And he never should have attributed a device to a person. And he will never, ever. Detective Miller, even though they said he will never handle a forensic, data of a homicide ever again, he will never attribute a device to a person ever, ever again. And I loved his body language. Detective Miller was adorable to me. I felt so bad for Detective Miller. But all right, we're gonna let him chat just a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna switch to the next clip.
And what did you say to those requests?
What did you say?
At that point, that was when I told him that he was under arrest.
Okay.
You can't arrest people.
Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what, if anything, took place that caused you to discharge your firearm?
It appeared that he did a very forceful stab towards Christine. And
he couldn't even get that
Christine
right.
Kind of.
Sir, so you're telling me you're holding a weapon and somebody else has the thing and you're pointing a pew-pew at them and they're going to do that, and like it doesn't make any sense. But the jurors, they have to talk it through, and And so they have all of this evidence. Wouldn't you want to read all of Juliana's letters? Wouldn't you want to go through Brendan's letters? Wouldn't you want to read through the FetLife messages? And I think that just took time. And there was a juror today that had to leave by 4:30. So there was one juror that had to be done by 4:30 p.m. today. And so I think they're just taking I think they're taking their time. They're going through the evidence, and I appreciate the care that they are putting into this case. We'll keep it going.
Spun away from him. So she was facing towards me. And I guess she like rotated as she spun away from him and landed on her stomach on the ground. This kind of had Joe now like on his knees, kind of facing.
Doesn't he sound like he's describing what he had for lunch and not the of his wife? It doesn't sound like he's describing what happened to somebody that he said he loved. Not even a movie, because a movie would be interesting. He's not entertaining or interesting. I think who was it? Charlie Adelson was a little bit more animated. Charlie Adelson, he was a blabber, but he was very animated. I agree. I think this is what he's thought about. And I think he tried to put a story together based on all of that writing, based on all of the forensic evidence. Okay, what was where? And then he's trying to make a story fit the evidence. My speculation. Okay. So vanilla, so boring, so IRS agent. Poor, and I've said it multiple times, mostly in chats, I think. This felt like an IRS audit. It felt tedious. It felt mundane. It was painful at times, except for the state. The state moved at a really good pace. The defense, but I think this was the defense that he wanted, because I think he was hoping to maybe lull some people where they wouldn't pay attention, where they think his lawyer gave a 2-hour closing. He must be innocent. I don't know. I stopped. So the closing was happening. His lawyer, I have very few notes from his lawyer's closing because I started watching Bridgerton season 4. I've already finished episodes 1 through 4. Now I have to wait until, what is it, February something? When do the next episodes come out? I have to wait for the next. Wait a minute. 1 through, oh no, yeah, that must not be season 4. Yeah, that was season 1. Yep. I have to wait for the next drop. That's what I did. Because his lawyer has a really calm voice. His lawyer has like a nice, slow pace. If I was in court, I could force myself to listen, but I was in my office and I started watching Bridgerton. No lie. I did. Yeah, season 4 came out yesterday. So episodes 1 through 4, it's super cute. It's super cute. He does have like an ASMR voice. Yes. If you need something to do this weekend. Who is more believable? So according to the chat, most of the chat between Juliana and Brendan, most people have found Juliana's version to be more credible. Brendan's version does not make any sense because they can never explain for me why FetLife was never accessed when Juliana and Brendan were not home. So if I was, I don't have, but like if somebody's having an affair, they're generally going to chat and do things when the person is out. Is she in the chat? So Natalie did a phenomenal video last night. Yes, Natalie. And Natalie is going live at 6:30. So make sure I'll be done by then. Make sure to head over to Natalie's chat at 6:30. Yes. And Natalie, if you have any questions for me, you can always like DM me or email me some questions. And I could like record something for you to use if you ever had any. But Natalie did a phenomenal job breaking it down, especially as a defense lawyer, and for her to get frustrated with the defense's leading questions, because it didn't even bother me that they were leading. Sometimes the questions were just bad. Forget leading. Sometimes the questions were just bad. And I think he let his client run the show. But I think if he had tried to not have him run the show, I think Brendan would have got upset with him. I think Brendan was convinced to do what he wanted. And so, hey, you want to get up there? You want to give the state information for their closing? You want to say what was that quote? It was the quote where he was like, there was no plan at that point. Natalie Lawyer Chick. So Natalie Lawyer Chick, if you type it into YouTube, so she is a defense attorney, phenomenal YouTube content creator, and also real life defense attorney in Maryland. All right. So this profile, she creates YouTube content and breaking down cases from a legal perspective. She's a real life lawyer. All right. Yeah, she does great. Oh, okay. I think that's all that I can take for that section. We're going to skip ahead to cross-examination because I like the state. The state has done a good job, I think. And so she's going to greet Brendan and be like, "Hey, how are you?" Sorry about the noise.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Good. So let's understand. This is the first time you've told this story or any story about what happened in the bedroom on February 24th, 2023, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you did not tell the police on that day in the bedroom. You did not tell the police on that day.
All right. So I want to explain the reason why I personally think there was no verdict today. Okay. Closing arguments didn't end until I think 12:30 or something, maybe 12. Closing arguments went long. They might have eaten lunch. And then they ended. There was one juror that had to leave by 4:30 p.m. And I'm glad that they're not rushing it. So they have evidence that we can't see. There's sealed evidence. They might be looking through some of the pictures. They might be rewatching some of the body camera. They might be reading Juliana's letters and reading Brendan's letters, because a lot of those letters were put up real quick, but the jury wasn't able to read them. So Juliana read excerpts from her letters, but they didn't read them. So I think that's why. And they are taking their time. For the first time, this group of people had to sit through 10 days. 10 days of this. Okay. And for the first time, they can talk about it. And so they can finally talk about the case. They can talk about the evidence. They can talk about their thoughts. And I think they are doing a thorough job. They have a man's life in their hands, and I'm glad that they're not going too quickly. So those are just my general thoughts of why there is no verdict yet. Okay. So she's going to get on him about this is the first time he's telling this story. And let me skip ahead to when she starts asking him about his feelings about Juliana, because he made it seem during direct like Juliana was just like, oh, we weren't even that big of a deal. Like she was so into me. But some of his letters and some of the text messages say different. So,
All right. But you are contending, again, these feelings, these very strong feelings, these let's be together for the rest of our lives feelings did not exist when your wife was alive.
correct.
Okay. And they certainly did not motivate you to kill your wife.
Juliana and I weren't even together when Christine died.
okay, we laugh to keep from crying here. Okay. So the question was, did you have those feelings before your wife died? A simple answer could have been no. But he's such a pompous, smug, condescending individual, he has the nerve to be like, he gives the extra that you really don't need. Okay? Like, he made it seem like Juliana is just like he's the prize. Uh, Does anybody know how tall he is? He talked about being so tall, and he comes off like he might be like, so I'm 5'6", almost 5'7". Okay? He seems like the guy that would like put 6'2" on his profile, but is really like 5'8" or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like he might be 6'1". Fine. That is taller for a man. But he comes off small. Doesn't he give like small energy? He gives Napoleon energy. He comes off small. Okay, good. So maybe he said he's 6'1", but he might be 5'11". We'll keep it going.
All right. You had broken up, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. Did you need to kill your wife to get her back?
That was a good question.
definitely not.
You've had multiple affairs, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And one of those affairs was with a woman named Danielle,
Sugar
who
baby.
you met on a fetish site searching for sugar babies. Is that correct?
I wouldn't call it a fetish site.
I would not call it a fetish site.
Okay. What would you call it?
An arranged relationship.
Okay. But you were looking for someone to be your sugar baby?
I guess it was a relationship where they would already know that I was married. That was what I was looking for.
Okay. Another one of your affairs was with your best friend's wife. Is that correct?
No. First, he's not my best friend. Number two, they were not.
I don't think. Okay. So I saw this in somebody else's chat. Just because somebody is weird and awkward does not mean that they are on the autism spectrum. Okay. So he has very poor social skills, but I think he could just be a jerk. Like, some people are just like jerks. It does not mean that they are on the autism spectrum. Okay. Like, he does seem to not get how he comes across to other people. Can y'all hear my kiddo playing in the background? Let me know if I need to close the door. My kid is having a ton of fun. I left my office door open. He has not been in school since last Friday. Was it Friday? Yeah. He's off all week. Yes, I do not think he is autistic. He's just a jerk. He's just, I don't know that for sure. Okay, my disclaimer. I've never met him. I've never assessed him. I think if he did have autism, I think he would have said it. I think he would have added that to feel sorry for me. This is why I come across this way. I have worked with people with autism, and his lack of eye contact at times, I think it's more manipulative. Like, I think he's trying to come across a certain way to the jury. He's that's my professional opinion. No.
Married. They were not even together at that point.
They were, is that your understanding of what they believed? Or is that how you perceived their relationship? Did they think they were together?
I don't think so. My understanding is that she wanted to be with him and they were not together at that point.
Okay.
But no, they were definitely not married at that point or anything like that.
Okay. But you were married at that point.
Yes, I was married at that point.
All right. Thank you.
And once again, we said we think that he used his money to possibly attract people, and he might come across confident. He might come across, but in a like vulnerable narcissist kind of way. And I got that Natalie. I forgot what he said that made Natalie say that last night, but I was definitely getting, he's trying to make himself the victim and yet the hero. It's weird that, like, my wife was cheating on me. I'm going up the stairs and oh no, I'm going to catch her in the act. And yet we all know he's the one that set this up. He's the one, either him or Juliana, got her phone, turned it off, and put it in the drawer downstairs. Because why would you wake up and do that when some stranger that you're meeting for the first time, that you've invited to your house and unlock the door, none of that makes any sense. None of that makes any sense. I saw somebody say, Natalie did get a chance to ask you about the imitation thingy. Was it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that question. Sometimes I get confused because I don't remember what I said. Yes. And so with autism, it's more of a difficulty sometimes seeing things the way other people see them. But with a psychopath, with somebody that's against social norms and antisocial personality disorder, or a narcissist where my needs trump anybody else's needs, I do believe him that I don't think he ever wanted to divorce Christine. But would he try to make himself the hero in this situation? That was ugh. Ugh. All right. So on redirect, his lawyer asked him at what point did he think about calling 911, and we'll play a little bit of that.
The extent of it, but that would have been okay.
Thank
you.
Let me see, did I miss it? Jury's coming in.
Mr. Banfield, you were asked on cross-examination as to your decisions relating to calling 911. At what point did you feel like 911 was necessary?
I guess once I was in the room, I knew that 911 was going to be necessary.
And at the time that you realized that, were you capable of calling 911?
No, my hands were on my firearm.
Okay, and so when you're saying in the room, you'd already confronted Joe Ryan?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And was there any other time that you were in a position to be able to call 911?
When I was rendering aid, I had.
And the state didn't ask him about, because I don't think they can ask him about what Juliana did, but they did say you could have asked Juliana to call 911. But they also, because there was a call to 911. My personal thought, I don't know that this is true. I think Juliana was in the room when he went up and pew-pewed Joseph Ryan. And I think she called 911 right then. But Christine was still alive. And so I think he told her to hang up. And then there was 13 to 15 minutes between that first 911 call and the second 911 call. And I think that's when there was the second shot to Joe Ryan. And like, I think within that period of time is when everything else happened. Yeah, the evidence shows, and he didn't mention that, but he can't say like, but he's not going to say that he told Juliana to hang up. But he just didn't say anything about it. The defense never said anything about the original call to 911. So that's, I think Juliana freaked out. But if they had called right then, I think he wanted my personal thoughts. I don't know this for sure. Okay. My personal thought is that I think he wanted Christine to be pretty much almost deceased when they called 911. For her to be severely wounded where she couldn't speak, she couldn't say anything. That's what I think, personally. But all right. So then we are going to get to the rebuttal witness. This was fun because I was not expecting his former boss to get on the stand. I was not expecting that at all. The judge allowed it. So this is his former boss.
Can you please state and spell your name for the court reporter?
Thomas Patrick Smith, ThomasPatrick,
Thank you. You can pull the mic just a little bit closer to you. Thank you. Do you know Mr. Banfield?
I do.
Okay, and in what capacity?
I'm a special agent with IRS Criminal Investigation, and Mr. Banfield was previously employed with IRS Criminal Investigation at my office in Vienna, Virginia.
Directing your attention to February 23rd and 24th of 2024. In that time period, was he your direct supervisee?
2023?
I'm sorry, 2023.
Yes, on February 24th, 2023, I was the acting supervisory special agent for the Vienna group.
All right, and so did Mr. Banfield report to you?
He did at that time, yes.
All right. Was there anyone else that he reported to during that period of time?
Julia Jones was the permanent supervisory special agent, but she was out of the country, and IRS practice is that someone is designated to be the acting supervisor when the supervisor is unavailable. So
right.
in that particular time, I believe I was the acting supervisory special agent from February 15th through February 24th. Juliet returned on Monday, February 27th.
All right. To your knowledge, was there a meeting scheduled between yourself or with Juliet and Mr. Banfield on the morning of February 24th, 2023?
The defense objected. I don't know what the objection was, but
Leading,
Sure.
sustain the objection.
Did you have any plans for the morning of February 24th, 2023?
I did. I was in Baltimore on unrelated undercover operation on that morning.
Were you scheduled to meet with Mr. Banfield?
I was not.
And again,
so he was on an undercover operation in Baltimore, Maryland, but there was no undercover operation that was supposed to happen at Vienna that day.
I'm sorry, where was Juliet, his other supervisor?
She was out of the country.
Okay. Mr. Banfield testified that he was meeting with his manager. Is there another person that could have been?
As you go up the management chain, we have an assistant special agent in charge. His name is David Meisenheimer, and we have a special agent in charge, Kareem Carter, and they were both in, I believe, Georgia at the time. Because
And Georgia, the state, not Virginia.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So Natalie Lawyer Chick did a phenomenal job explaining this question. I'm just going to make it me because I don't have him at a great pause. I'll pause the defendant like that, but I try not to pause witnesses like that. So somebody asked why this didn't come up earlier. Okay. And so the state did not know what Brendan was going to say. So Brendan never said that he had an important meeting in Vienna. So on the body cam, he does say, I work in Vienna. Can I call my boss, or can I call my office or something? That is on body cam, but he never said anything about that important meeting. But when he was on the stand, a witness reached out and said, I have evidence to contradict that, and the state gets to bring that up on rebuttal. Natalie Lawyer Chick, go to her channel. She's the lawyer. I'm the psychologist. Okay. So I know the mental health stuff. She does the legal stuff. But that is why this witness was, and it's up to the judge to say whether the person can testify or not. And that's where Natalie also said, you try to make sure that your client doesn't say anything that can come in that might have been previously excluded, because that's where if the client opens the door, sometimes other things get to come in. So if their lawyer or if the client opens the door, here we are. So that's why this testimony came in and was allowed.
Within your industry, is it commonplace to appear for career? Sure thing.
All right, Shane? Christine?
How does one dress in the IRS when they are approaching a business meeting that is imperative for their success and potential promotion?
Well, we could say that when I have important meetings, I dress in a semi-formal or formal, like suit and tie, or at least, nice slacks and a shirt.
Would jeans or tennis shoes be acceptable?
I have never worn jeans or tennis or sneakers or tennis shoes for an important meeting.
You have to put your microphone on, Mr. Kara. What's your objection?
Objection to the relevance of this. He's indicating what he does.
Overruled.
This is incredibly relevant because Brendan's saying, I had this important, this undercover operation. It's imperative. Why would I ever plan a crime on the day I have this important meeting? He said that on day 8. Those words came out of his client's mouth. And we're just asking, what type of attire do you wear when you do have an important meeting? It's like, oh, I wear business casual, like a suit, but would you wear jeans and tennis shoes and they wouldn't wear what Brendan had on. It was hilarious. All right. So that was the biggest parts of that. The defense tries to cross and they got off on some tangent. Even now. So in closing arguments, the state opens up with the fact that, so remember state's closing arguments are not evidence, but the state used very powerful language, I think, because they said he executed his wife and he was in love with Juliana. He pretended it was a fling. He was afraid of losing her. He was afraid of losing Juliana. He needed to get rid of his wife so that they could be together and have those babies. Because the state read letters where they had named babies. And I think it was Natalie that paused it. And I think it was like, there were a few names that were listed in one of Juliana. I think it was Juliana's letter or Brendan's letter. I don't know. One of their letters. The Juliana and also detectives and experts. Oh, and so the state basically says you don't have to rely only on Juliana. There are also the detectives and the experts. Do not only rely on Juliana's story. And then they went over the highlights of that digital evidence, the fact that, yes, you cannot tell who's behind the screen, but the FetLife account is only accessed when Brendan or Juliana are home. It's never used when both of them are out of the home. It's also important to note that Christine has no digital history of using dating apps, searching fetish sites, or even searching for adult films. She also said that Brendan talked about these incidents of affairs involving Christine, but he had to go back more than 10 years because there's zero evidence to corroborate that self-serving statement. That's what the defense said. The state. That's what the state said in their closing. The state said if there was one scintilla of evidence that could prove this, don't you think we would have seen it? Because all he said is that back in 2013, because even when he explained her affair, I got confused because he said, I was away, she was away, we didn't talk to each other as much. And then we went to counsel. Like there was no detail. Like there was nothing. I saw messages on her phone. Like it was just 2013. I was away and she was away and we both had affairs. And that she knew of at least 2 of his past affairs, according to him. Brendan said that she did know about Juliana. I don't know. And even if she did know, I don't know. This was ridiculous. The state also pointed out that there were times that Christine's cell phone is searching for Frozen tickets while the laptop is like on the FetLife, is doing FetLife chats. And so the state believes that 2 different people are doing 2 different things, that Christine has her phone and she's like focused on her daughter, and Juliana and Brendan are working on this plan. The state also mentioned that many potential targets on FetLife were turned down because they wanted to meet in person. Why would the real Christine Banfield have been searching for someone to engage in knife play when she had a blood clotting disorder? Why would she use a photo in a gym bathroom that she sent to Brendan? I didn't realize that. Like that came up, I think during Brendan's cross. I could be wrong. But like the bathroom picture was something she sent to him. And then the state says because it wasn't Christine, it was Brandon Benfield with the Banfield with the help of Juliana. Physical evidence says that Christine died as the result of 7 wounds to her neck. What he used to do it with was a kitchen knife that's normally used to chop up vegetables. The state also mentioned that Brendan would have wanted like a different type of knife, but that's what was brought. Joe Ryan was shot twice, once by Brendan, and once by Juliana. Evidence to confirm. Oh, and then they talk about evidence to confirm the affair and all of that. The defense, y'all. The defense's closing was painful. I told y'all, I started watching Bridgerton season 4. I made it all the way through. I finished season 4, or not, part 1 of season 4. Waiting for part 2. The defense says that, they start talking about confirmation bias. So confirmation bias is a thing. And I do think in the Karen Reed case, I think that investigation solely focused on Karen Reed and didn't look at anything else. And I did not love the way that investigation was handled. This one, I don't think they were solely focused on Brendan and Juliana. Now, there were some people that didn't believe, I think, that Christine was the one. Why would this PICU nurse be doing these messages and nothing else on her regular phone ties up with this? So I think they had suspicions. And once they confirmed the blood evidence, because they say we didn't arrest him after Juliana flipped, we arrested him after the blood evidence. And the state went through that part, but the defense tried. He tried so hard, poor baby. It's okay. And so he talked about, Juliana wanting to sell her story. I literally put blah, blah, blah. The defense tries to talk about what a catfish is and how this couldn't have been catfish. No, Joe Ryan was catfished by Brendan and Juliana. That's my personal thoughts and how I look at this evidence. And then what else? And then I hated when, so the defense talked about Joseph Ryan being angry, and I think I tuned out everything else after that because sadly, I think Joseph Ryan got tricked, in my opinion, by Brendan and Juliana. There were red flags in this situation, and that's why I talk about this case, because for people that are going to engage in any type of kink or fetish, there should be safe words. Things should happen in safe environments. You don't look like you're breaking into somebody's home. And this is the first time two people are meeting. Like the very first meeting is this, I break into your home, I have a weapon, and it's something involving physical pain, and we've never met in person. We've never talked about things. And so there were a lot of red flags with this. And so that's why I like talking about that. I do feel bad for Joseph Ryan, because I think he got caught in the middle. And you always meet in person first. And somebody even mentioned the fact of doing like a video call because of AI, that a person could try to dupe you with AI now. Somebody else mentioned that you go over medical problems, potential limits, triggers, because there can be safety within the BDSM community. There should be. So I talk a lot about consent, and that's both parties enthusiastically agreeing and both parties being on the same page. And at any point, there should be a safe word where things stop. If somebody is unconscious, things stop, because hopefully you're not getting to unconscious, but like there are, if you wouldn't offer that person tea, don't do it. So you wouldn't give tea to an unconscious person. Don't do the things. I think Joe Ryan, because so I know Brendan was 38. I thought he was 37. He had just had a birthday. You talked about his birthday cookie. I think Joseph Ryan was in his late 30s, maybe 39. I could be wrong. But he was in his late 30s. I saw an interview with his mother. My heart breaks for her because she just talked about how close they were and that they were best friends. Some people do like, if they're not going to use protection, they do like where they get STI checks. But I recommend protection, like protection. Yeah. But some people do where they do health. They're open about their health record, and it should be recent, very, very recent. But just engage in safe activities. Okay. What? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, good. All right. So then the state came back on rebuttal, and she finally called, because she really didn't talk about Brendan's testimony during the first part of her closing. And so in the second part of closing, she opens with, it's really interesting that their recollection of the evidence doesn't match ours. And she corrected the things because he got exhibit numbers wrong. Got like two exhibit, and y'all know I make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? Like I might, but like I think capitalized on that, and she corrected his exhibit numbers, and she admits, yes, Juliana's testimony was paid for. Yes, she not paid for, because that's what the defense tried to say, that Juliana was bought and paid for. And what the state said was, yes, she got a deal, but she's going to be deported. And that's not what they said. She's going to go back to Brazil and she might get $10,000. She's never going to be a nanny ever again. If Brendan's version was correct, she could be free and she could have went to trial and been free and she didn't have to take a deal. And then the state asked, whose story is more credible? Whose version does the evidence fit? He took the stand and he lied. I love that part. He had a big career defining meeting. He lied. He said there was no plan, not at that time. So when asked about the pew pew range, he says at that time there was no FetLife account. There was no plan at that time. No plan at that time. So sometimes the truth will leak out. And that's where it was like, was that a Freudian slip? Because I do think there was a plan. I do think there was. My own personal thoughts. Who will the jury believe? And that's where we will see. So please take a deep breath. Enjoy your weekend. If you are in North Carolina, Southern Virginia, if you're in an area that's getting a winter storm, please stay safe. Our area, we're still dealing with ice. The ice is just, it's ridiculous. It's going to be freezing still. The ice isn't going to melt. Hopefully the kids go to school on Monday. They might be virtual. We'll see. I don't know if these kids are ever going back to school. January has felt like a whole year. It's been so long. But I so appreciate covering these things with you all. Tomorrow, I will be live with Josh Ritter at 3 p.m. Eastern. We will be talking about the Tepe case, but from a perspective of how to help. So what were the red flags? And I truly don't know that there was anything to stop this case because he was, but just to talk about from a legal and psychological perspective, how can we better understand and better prevent these types of issues? So we are going to do that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Going ahead and head over to Natalie. I will see y'all next time. Have a good one. Bye.